These were on back order forever. I'm so glad they're finally here. This video is not sponsored by any of the companies mentioned. Hi, Shannon Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artist at Play, because I love to play with all different art supplies, and today I have a brand new art supply to show you. These are the Woodless Pastel pencils by Sennelier. I am so excited about these, it's ridiculous. I actually saw these online. Somebody had done a video, and I can't remember who, because there was multiple videos that I had watched over the summer. People were going to all these different art trade shows, and somebody had done one of their videos of their experience at the art trade show. These were in the background of their video. They didn't even talk about them. I saw them with my own two little eyes. Like a skulking weirdo, I was looking at all the stuff in the background, and I saw them in the background. I'm like, that's Sennelier. That's Sennelier. And those are pencils. So I knew, I'm like, those look like pastel pencils. What are those? And of course, I searched high and low on the internet and they weren't available yet. So I had been eyeing Blick for a long time. And then when I went to order my stuff that I got with gift cards for my birthday, I was checking out the new section on Blick. And they popped up. They were there. I was so excited. They're beautiful. They're woodless. They're pastel pencils. And they're finally mine. So we're going to play around with them today. I'm going to swatch them on a bunch of different paper just to see what I would like to use them on the most. I mean, obviously that's going to be up to personal preference. And then I'm also going to do a small piece with them. I'm not going to get crazy with them today because I have a bunch of other projects that I'm working on right now. And so I don't have a lot of time, but I really wanted to jump on this. I was so excited when they came. So I'm just going to do like a 5x7 piece to get a feel for them. And I'll let you know what I think. Okay, let's take a look at these beauties. I have here the full stick landscape set, and this is the 24 set. And it comes in this beautiful, shiny kind of cardboard box, nice and sturdy. It has a magnetic flap to keep it closed. Really feels very nice. Just feels nice in the hands. And then you open it up and there's the Sennelier branding, if I can get it to focus. And then there's some padding here. There are 2 levels to this set, and each one is divided by a little bit of this foam padding. So here are the first 12 colors. Oh, they're so beautiful. Very exciting. Let's take a closer look at the pastel itself. So it has this nice kind of film over it so your fingers don't get messy, and it has the Sennelier branding on it along with the name and the Lightfast rating. And all the colors in this set are fairly light fast. There's only one color that's not as light fast as the rest, but most of them equal out to a 1 or 2 on the ASTM scale, which is really exciting for pastel pencils. And this is what the second layer looks like. You can pull this whole tray out of the box if you want to. I don't really need to at the moment. But they are encased in this beautiful foam. So they are really well protected, and Blick did a really good job packing them in their box as well. So none of them were broken when I got them or anything. Very good protective packaging here. So we are going to compare them to the other pastel pencils I have on hand, at least by looks. Now, as you can tell, these are shorter than some of the other pastel pencils I have. And they're not necessarily as thick as this Derwent, but a Derwent pencil is always going to be chunky. I have here some Faber-Castell Pitt pastels as well. And I have some Carbothello pastel pencils by Stabilo. So you can kind of see here that they are shorter than the other pencils on hand. And I apologize about the dirty hands. I did this part after I started swatching. But the main thing is this is all pastel, whereas these pencils have a protective wood casing on them with a little bit of product in the middle as the core. So you're getting a ton of product here, even though they're shorter than the other pencils. I would wager that there's probably more product in these than there is the other pencils. Now I'm going to swatch on a bunch of different paper. I have here some Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press Black, just because it was the right size for swatching. I have some charcoal paper here by Legion. And this is in conjunction with Grizaye, which is the brand by Colored Pencil Magazine. The classic Canson Mi-Teintes pastel paper. Some of the Sand Grain XL dry mixed media paper by Canson. This also has a nice tint to it and just a slight sand texture to it. Very inexpensive paper. A lot of fun for pastels. And then I also will be bringing in some other papers down the line as well, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I end up bringing in some of the Fisher 400 sanded paper as well as some Pastelmat to try these on. Now I'm starting off with the Grizaye charcoal paper. This is an interesting feeling paper, kind of similar to, I don't know, maybe kind of similar to a Pastelmat. I don't really want to go that far. But it's made for charcoal, and usually if it's made for charcoal, you can get away with pastel pencils because they're very similar texture-wise. But I wanted to use this paper to kind of show you what it looks like on white. And just for a comparison, here's what their extra soft pastels look like next to it, or their soft pastels. So you can see the soft pastels are definitely more vibrant than the pastel pencils, but the color saturation is still pretty nice with the pastel pencils on a white paper. Now we're moving on to the classic Mi-Teintes in this kind of tan yellow color. I can't remember, maybe this is a champagne color. I was not overly impressed with this part. I'm using the rough side of the paper. I like the smooth side of the paper better, but I wanted to give this as much of a chance as possible since it's pastel. I usually use the smooth side for like a colored pencil. But you can see, like, yeah, it's going on there. I'm not overly excited about it. Now onto the Canson XL Sand Grain. You're seeing a lot more of that product come off on there. It's starting to get more vibrant, showing that these work really well on a textured paper. Much better than a smooth paper. I think they're really much more vibrant. Here's what it looks like on the sand grain paper, a closer up of that. So you can see they're quite vibrant on there, and it wouldn't take much layering to fill that tooth. Now I'm going to try the Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press, but I'm not overly impressed. So I'm bringing in some Faber-Castell Mixed Media black paper. And I think this works a lot better. I think just because the Stonehenge Aqua is a watercolor paper, it just wasn't gripping the pencil enough. So if you ever run into an issue where your pencils are not vibrant enough, try them on a different kind of paper. And that's one reason why I'm doing this experiment. And they did show up really well on the black paper. Now I'm bringing in the Fisher 400. This is a sanded paper. I don't use this paper very often anymore because I found out the backside is not acid-free. However, I wanted to test it out on this before I switched to Lux Archival because I didn't want to waste the good Lux Archival if it wasn't going to work. And look how good that looks on sanded paper. All right, so here is the Pastelmat. I actually swatched that off camera. It's white Pastelmat, and you can see it works really well on the Pastelmat as well. A little bit more of a blurred effect on that. But there's all the swatches. There's the charcoal paper, and the Fisher 400, and the Mi-Teintes, and a little bit on the smooth side. You can kind of see they do work on the smooth side of the Mi-Teintes as well. Here's a little bit of an orange swatch so you can see. More for like an underpainting, I think. Not overly impressed. On the regular paper, I'm not feeling like they're doing, you know, they're not overly impressive. And that was my attempt on the Stonehenge Aqua. Again, didn't show up great on that black, but look how well that sings on the Faber-Castell Mixed Media black paper. But I gotta tell you, that Fisher 400, that sand grain paper, that sanded paper, like the real sanded paper, boy, she pops. Now I want to do a white test. I'm bringing it back to my mixed media black paper, and I am trying the white pencil against the other pencils I have. You can see it compared with the Derwent, Carbothello, and the Pitt Pastels, and it's right up there with the rest of them. It looks very similar. And here's a better scan of them on black paper. And down on the bottom, there's some squiggles of my soft pastels for comparison. Now I just want to look at them on a regular old paper and compare them with the other pastel pencils I have to see about hardness. And I found that they are probably the hardest pencil I have. Before, it used to be the Pitt Pastel. I wrote Pitt Pen, but it's a Pitt Pastel. The Derwent is the softest. The Carbothello is the second softest. And I would say these are the hardest pencil I have now. And then just comparing them all four on that sanded paper, and they're beautiful. You can tell even the other pastel pencils I have look better on sanded paper than they do regular paper. So these are no different when it comes to that. So what I am finding from this is that these work best on a sanded paper, and apparently so don't my others. And they are much harder than the other pencils I already have on hand, which is to be expected, honestly, because the other pencils I have on hand have a protective wooden casing. And so these, because they are pure product, they have to be stiffer so that they don't break as easily. Now, I can be pretty heavy-handed, and I didn't have these break at all while I was working with them, but they still blended out very nicely. Now, I'm bringing in some rubbing alcohol, just some 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol, to kind of get that to set in. This is a technique that I learned from my friend Angela, who learned it from a workshop she went to. And I'd heard of doing it before, but the way she explained it just clicked with me a little bit better. I just wanted to see how well it worked with the alcohol, and it worked just fine with the alcohol. And once it was dry, I'm coming back in with some more color. And I'm able to blend out again on top of that. Now, because I'm working now on Lux Archival Paper, I don't know if I mentioned that before, this is my go-to sanded paper to work on. It will allow for a lot of layers. And so I'm playing that up a lot in the sky. I'm not being overly precious here, though. As you can tell, I'm working very quickly. I didn't blend it out as well as I do my other skies. Again, this was just to get a feel for the pencils. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the sets and the availability of these. They are still on back order, as far as I know, as I'm doing this voiceover. However, you can order them from Blick, and I do recommend you doing that now because they are still coupon eligible. I have a coupon that my friend Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, shared with me so that I could share with you that I will put in the description below because that will help get you 15% off. Now, they are available as both half sticks and full sticks. I'm working with the full sticks here. They have 48 colors in all, and they have 2 sets of 24. Now, there is some crossover there. I have the landscape set, and then there's like a general set. There is some crossover color-wise, so I recommend you choose a set that you like if you don't get the full 48 set, because there is a full 48 set. But if you just want to start off with like a 24 set, I recommend doing that and then maybe supplementing open stock later on if there's more colors that you want. And they do have a 12 set as well. So they have a 12 set, they have 2 sets of 24 and a 48 set, and each of those sets is available as either half or full stick. Now, let's talk a little bit about Lightfastness. I could not find a color chart for these online yet, so I don't know the full Lightfastness of the full range. However, I will say that I'm really excited about this particular set because they're all fairly light fast. They do a star system from 1 to 3, and how it works is 3 is the most light fastness, correlating with the ASTM1. 2 is correlating with the ASTM2, and 1, which is their least light fastness, correlates to an ASTM3, which this is according to their color chart on their other pastels. So I'm assuming that they're doing the same thing here. Again, don't quote me on that. It might be different when the actual color chart comes out. However, in this landscape set, only one of them has a 1 star, and that's the cobalt blue hue. So only one of them is like an ASTM3, which isn't terrible, really. 2 of them are 2 stars, which is blue violet and castle earth. And then the rest of them are all 3 star, which is an ASTM1. I have to say that is very exciting for a pastel pencil. There's a reason why I don't have a ton of other pastel pencils, and that's because I've weeded out the pencils that were not very light fast from my other lines. So I am beyond excited about that. Now, how do they work? They work just like any other pastel pencil. I will say you saw me use them with alcohol. They are also water-soluble. Pastel pencils do tend to be water-soluble. Not many people know that. I do have a video about that as well. So they do blend out with water. I did a test on that off camera. I knew they would work, but I just wanted to test it just in case. And they're very similar. They feel great in the hand. They're not so messy because they're harder, so there's not as much dust, but you can still blend them out, especially when you have the right kind of paper that can handle a lot of layers. And they do layer well on top of each other, again, when you have a nice, good gripping paper. And as you can tell, they are exceedingly vibrant on this Lux Archival paper. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I had a great time with that sky. I was able to kind of lift things out when it was still a little bit wet with the alcohol to get some blurry clouds in there. And I was able to come in with some white caps on those clouds with my white. They did everything I needed them to do. And I do think that they will work for a great underpainting for your soft pastels as well. So if you already have the soft pastels by Sennelier, I think those will work over it just fine. And I might do that next time I use these. I might combine the two to see how well they work together. But today, I just wanted to try out the pencils. So what are my main thoughts on this? They're a little bit pricey. Try to get that coupon code. I think their main shtick is the fact that they're woodless, so you're getting pure product there. You're not sharpening away all your product, and you can just kind of rotate as you work to keep your pencil sharp. So I love that, and I love the light fast ratings. As far as usage goes, because they are a little bit harder, they don't come off as vibrant on some regular paper. And they work very similarly to the other pastel pencils out there. So do you need to go out and spend your money on these if you already have pastel pencils that you love? Obviously not, unless you're looking for something that's going to give you more bang for your buck as far as product goes because they're woodless, and something a little bit more light fast. All right, folks, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun with these pencils. It definitely requires the right kind of paper, but that's how it's going to be with any pencil and any pastel pencil especially. And yeah, I think that they really popped on that Lux Archival, so I'm pretty excited about that since that's my go-to pastel paper, even though it's for colored pencil. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun with this. I had a lot of fun with my little fall drawing. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will link these in the description. They are still on back order, or on back order again, various sizes, but they do have some available open stock as of the time of filming this. And I will also link that coupon code for you. Catch it while it lasts, because these probably will not be coupon eligible for long. And so that's another reason why I wanted to get this video out ASAP. All right, I will see you next time. You have a fantastic day. Bye.